Throughout my life, I've had a series of mentors, people that I believe God brought into my life to provide coaching and direction and guidance and accountability. And I wouldn't have the life that I have today if it wasn't for these people. Today, I wanted to tell you about some of those people and the impact that they made on my life and how powerful I think it can be to have mentors in your life. My very first mentor, like a lot of people, like a lot of guys, was my dad. My dad had 5 boys, and he was an awesome dad. You know, he grew up in a family that didn't have a lot of money, and he didn't get to do a lot of things, and so focused a lot of his time and energy, resources, and money on doing stuff with our family. We went on vacation every year. We all played 3 sports all through school. My parents were always there at all of our sporting events. But my dad, you know, he wasn't, I wouldn't say he was around all the time because he had a successful career with General Motors, but he was always there when we needed him. I don't remember ever a time when I needed to go to my dad for something that he wasn't there to give me some advice and some wise counsel. And he also set a good example for us kids. He and my mom have been married now for over 50 years, and so a great example of a good marriage. He's always been active in his church. He's a giver. In fact, that's probably the one trait I think most about my dad is he's the first one to give, to serve, to help, to want to be a blessing in somebody else's life. And I was watching that the whole time, and I try to emulate that to this day. Fast forward, my first mentor outside of my home was my high school soccer coach, a guy named Lou Rodriguez. And he was our coach my junior and senior years of high school and soccer. And if you haven't seen the video, we got a great video about the time when we won the state championship. You can click right here and see that video. But Coach Rodriguez was the first person outside of my parents who I would say believed in me. And the fact that he believed in me, not just my soccer skills, but my ability to lead and inspire a team, really brought out the best in me. He was a great example of a lot of things. He's gone on to be in ministry now. He's working as a pastor for several churches that are really lucky to have him. But he made a huge, huge impact on my life in very formative years. And part of the reason that I do a lot of teaching and coaching today is because of the example of Coach Rodriguez. You know, I think it was about 2 years ago, my wife and I were at a conference in Indiana, and it's the same city where he lives, and got a chance to introduce my wife to Coach Rodriguez. And it was so cool to introduce the person who's most important to me in the whole world to one of the people that really made the biggest difference in my life. And he's an awesome guy, very, very thankful for the role that he played in my life. To this day, he's the only individual that I call Coach. I would never call him Lou. He's always Coach to me. And then I went off to college. My mentor in college was a guy named Dr. David Roby. He was the coach of the speech team. He helped run the speech program in the Department of Communication Arts. He was my academic advisor. He directed one of the plays that I was in, and he directed my senior speech recital. He believed in me, but he demonstrated he believed in me with his words and actions. Sometimes was very, very strict and held me accountable, but was a great mentor in my life. He just passed away about 2 years ago, and his family asked me to speak at his funeral. And it was one of the great honors of my life to talk about how this person 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, put seeds in me of what it means to be a good person, what it means to have high standards, what it means to have a commitment to excellence and to do your very best. And it shaped my life in so many ways. Coming out of college, and then I went to graduate school. A lot of you may know I spent 5 years teaching on the faculty of Miami University. And it was around that time that I decided I wanted to make some more money, develop another income stream, and I met total chance, random meeting, maybe total chance. I think, honestly, God brought all these people into my life. But I met a guy one day named Vince Rush. I was actually on a softball field. I used to put myself through college as a softball umpire. I should make a video about that one of these days. But I was umping a softball game, and this guy comes up. His name was Vince. We started talking. I asked him what he did, and he said, "I'm self-employed." And I was like, "Really? I've always wanted to be self-employed. Tell me about that." Well, I teach people who are successful in different careers how to start a business of their own, run it from home in their spare time, add an income stream, sometimes double and triple their income. And so I was all ears. And so he taught my wife and I how to start our own business. This is back in 1992, before a lot of you guys were even born. Since then, he and I have become very good friends. But he's also been an ongoing mentor and coach for me. We've had a few uncomfortable conversations where he has said, "Hey, Jeff, I know you've asked me to hold you accountable." And I did at one point. Boy, I recommend this too if you want to be mentored. I asked him at one point, "Vince, if you ever see me doing something that's contrary to my dreams and goals, something that's going to set me back instead of move me forward, would you tell me?" The danger of asking somebody that is that they might just tell you. And in fact, Vince has told me on a couple occasions, politely and appropriately and with love, "Hey, dude, you're screwing up. You're going down the wrong path. You got to make some changes." And it's been instrumental in my life. It's been huge. Probably as impactful as anyone ever has been in my life. In fact, my son Logan, a lot of you don't know, but Logan's middle name is Vincent. And he is named after Vince Rush because of the difference he made in my life. When I left teaching, I spent some time in my full-time career as working in sales for the Campbell Soup Company. And the guy who was my boss there was a guy named Dale Birdsfield. And Dale and I, very different styles. He's very buttoned up and organized. I'm a little more hang loose. He's like, "Let's get every number just right." I'm like, "Let's round them off." And so we had some conflict in the early days. But we kind of found our groove, and I worked for him for 10 years. And he went from being my boss to being a mentor, and then really one of my closest friends. I got a lot of respect for Dale. And most of you watching this video will never meet Dale. He's retired now. But the things I learned from him about how to treat people were powerful. And the difference he's made in so many lives. I'd be in his office, his phone would just ring off the hook of people around the company and around the industry calling him up for just advice about things. And he taught me that, to be somebody who makes a difference in people's lives is a good thing. As my business has grown, I have another business mentor who's one of the main mentors in my life, a gentleman named Leiniger. Most of you never heard of Alan, but he owns a huge business teaching other people how to be successful in businesses for themselves. He's helped tens of thousands of people. He's extremely successful. But what I admire about him isn't the fact that he's made millions of dollars, and flies his own airplane. That's awesome. But what I respect about him is that more than anyone else I've ever met, he sees the world through spiritual eyes. When he sees the way someone's acting, he's like, "You know what? That's not really the real them." He can just see what's really going on with people and relationships and situations. He has a heart for healing and mentoring and coaching, and he has just shown me unconditional love. My performance in working with him in business has not been stellar. I haven't knocked that out of the park sometimes. But I know that he believes in me. And you know what? That keeps me going. That keeps me going just sometimes, just having someone who I respect probably as much as anyone in the world and knowing that he believes in me. And there's been times when I'll just get a text message from him or, I'll tell you a time that really impacted me. Some of you may have seen the video. I'll put a link to it here about my son, Logan, and when we got the diagnosis that he was on the autism spectrum. And the first person I called after that meeting was Alan Leiniger. And I said, "Alan, we got a bad report from the doctor. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know what to say. It's good in some ways that we have, some explanations for, why our kid's been acting this way. But, they're telling us our son has autism." And I said, "I just wanted to get your insight on it." And you know what he said that really impacted me? He said, "Jeff, there's lots of names that people call things." He goes, "Here's my opinion, is Logan's exactly the way that he's supposed to be. God made Logan special. He's unlike anyone else on planet Earth." And he said, "You know what? Logan's going to do great things with his life." He said, "Get whatever help you can from the school. Get him whatever tutoring, counseling, therapy, whatever he needs." He said, "But don't lose sight of the fact that Logan is going to do amazing things with his life. And you know what? He's going to do amazing things, not in spite of the way he is, but because of the way he is." And I got a future video coming up, kind of an update on Logan's story on some of the difference that kid has made with his life. But it's extraordinary. And so I just want to tell you about these men. My life would be so much worse if it wasn't for these men. They have provided me with guidance and coaching and encouragement and love and support. And you know what, as much as anything, accountability, right? That one of the reasons I don't want to screw up my life and do something totally stupid is because I care what those people think about me. And that holds me accountable. To me, that's what part of being a mentor is it's your job to bring out the best in the people that you're mentoring. And I thank God that I've had these people in my life that have been willing to take me under their wing and provide me with coaching. And more than anything, all those people believed in me. You know, I may come across as a super confident person, but I've struggled in my life with believing in myself, believing that I have what it takes. I think everybody does. But these series of men who spoke belief and love and truth into my life have made all the difference. If you don't have a mentor in your life, I recommend that you find one. I think God's probably trying to bring you one. You might have to take a first step, right? You're probably going to have to start your own business before a business mentor shows up. You know, I had to try out for the play and the speech team before the speech coach was mentoring me, right? I worked really hard in soccer all the way from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, before a mentor showed up in 10th grade who changed my life. But the power of mentorship, I think it's one of the most powerful things in the whole world.